You're hardworking, you've got hustle, but your thinking is all wrong. You're thinking about e-commerce, Shopify, drop shipping, all that kind of stuff. You're thinking about it wrong. 99% of you will fail with Shopify. That's just statistics. That's just math. And if you don't watch all this video, if you don't watch videos like this and learn from other people's mistakes, you're much more likely to fail than others. So first off, right off the bat, I'm gonna tell you why I see so many people failing and how to fix it. But let's start with the number one thing. 90% of you will fail with Shopify because you'll never get started. So many people have great business ideas and they never get started. It's the beginning of the year. I'm filming this really early in the year, and a lot of people have the idea of starting a new business 2018, but you know what? Most of them will never do it. Change that right now. There's links up here and down below for Shopify. You can get a free 14-day trial. There's other hosts out there too. You don't need to use Shopify. It is the best one, but there's links up there and down below, and I'll talk about later in the video. I got a special trick that'll help out anyone that hasn't signed up for Shopify yet. But let's go back to the video and the important stuff here and how to fix your thinking. So that's only one part of it. Like I said, 90% of people will fail because they never get started. They never take that first step. But what about the other people, the other 9% of people that still fail? Well, they're thinking about e-commerce wrong. And what I mean by this is most people try to think, well, how can I make money? How can I get rich quick? And if that's how you're thinking, if you think it's just a get rich quick scheme or it's easy, you know, you're gonna fail. You're setting yourself up for failure because when it ends up being hard, you're not gonna push through. So number one, just get started. And then after you've gotten started, just do that next step. We have fear in us. We have this like barrier to going forward. We need to overcome that. And that's what makes people champions. That's what makes people better than the competition, is going through the fear. It's not feeling the fear. It's totally okay to be scared about starting an online store or be scared about taking that next step, but it's getting past it that really works. I've had a number of, I just recently launched a new company. There's been so many setbacks. Just yesterday, I bought $10,000 worth of macadamia nuts, which, you know, that's a lot of macadamia nuts, and sent it to my co-packer. And they told me, no, sorry, these are the wrong kind, that this won't work. And then I'm thinking, you know, what am I gonna do with $10,000 worth of macadamia nuts? I freaked out, but you end up solving the issue. So keep that in mind. You're gonna solve all these issues. So let's get back to why your thinking is wrong. Most people I see that are trying to start an online store, Shopify, dropshipping, whatever, they're trying to think about how much value they can take from other people. They're thinking about how much money they can con people into getting. Wrong. Like, that's maybe can work on a short-term basis. Maybe you can put up a crappy dropshipping site and make some money. But if you really want to make money long-term with e-commerce, with your online store, Shopify, whatever you want to call it, the way to do it is to actually give value. And there's a number of different ways to give value. So for instance, for me, the way I prefer to give value is to create a unique product that people can't buy anywhere else. You know, so for my product, it's macadamia, coconut, cashew blended nut butter, which is something I know that people wanted because I've talked to people. I've done the market research, and it's a pain in the butt starting a new product. So not everybody wants to do that. But my goal was to give value to people, to say, hey, I know you want this because you've told me that you want this. Now I've created it. I've took all these components. I've taken macadamia nuts and cashews and paid a manufacturer to grind them up and put them in little pouches. Now, is that worth money to you? And you know what? A lot of people will say yes. So that's the thing. I'm giving them value. They're saying that my nut butter is worth more than their $30. They're willing to do that exchange. So what if you're doing drop shipping? What if you're selling a lot of random junk? How can you create more value? Well, first off, if you consider what you're selling junk, stop, because other people will think it's junk as well. But let's say you're selling a bunch of things like kayaks, and you decided to do a drop shipping website for kayaks. What you should do is brand yourself as the kayak king. You should say, hey, come to my website, I'll teach you about kayaks. I'll show you what the best kayak is for different situations. That's the value you're giving. You're not necessarily, you don't even need to have the best price. If you're giving so much value away because you're teaching people how to buy kayaks, they're gonna reciprocate. They're gonna buy it from you because they're too lazy to go search on other websites for a slightly better price. You've built trust. So that's what you need to think about, is how to give people value. So that's what I'm talking about with your thinking being wrong. Most people I see that start an online store, they're all concerned about how they can make money, how they can take value. And that's, sure, you know what, making money is part of it, but if you're trying to do this get rich quick scheme, you're gonna give up as soon as it gets a little bit hard. So that's why 99% of the people statistically will fail with Shopify, will fail with starting a business, is because of that fact. The next thing I'll say too is you always hear 4 out of 5 businesses fail. And you know what the reason is? 4 out of 5 people don't educate themselves. 4 out of 5 people, to be quite honest, aren't that smart that start businesses. Most of those people have never read a book about how to start a business. They've never watched a series of YouTube videos on how to do that. Never listened to a podcast. Keep doing what you're doing. This is great that you're watching this video. Now, don't use YouTube videos to stop yourself from going and making that next step. I know a lot of people are stuck in analysis paralysis mode where they go on YouTube and they look at all these videos and they say, okay, how do I make my business better, or how do I start a business, and they never actually do it. If that's you, sign up for Shopify. It's free trial. Like, there's no reason not to. Once again, it doesn't have to be Shopify, anything. Or buy your own, if you haven't even bought a domain name yet, go buy a domain name. So it's taking that next step that makes an entrepreneur successful. It's those little baby steps that eventually add up to something big. So you need to fix your thinking about this right here. So some other things that need to get fixed with your thinking, and there's quite a few, but I'll just quickly go over all of them, is one, and I already mentioned this a little bit, you need to be building a brand. You need to be building repeat customers or something that people would share. So maybe you're the kayak king and people will only buy one kayak from you, but they'll tell their friends about it. Or maybe it's Performance Nut Butter, my company, and it's like, all right, that's our brand, that's our identity, and this is what we represent. So you need to fix that right out of the gate. The next thing I see that's wrong with people's thinking is that they think they can just build a website and people will come. Guess what? It's not Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will not come. You need to get them to come. Just because you have a great product doesn't mean anything nowadays. Doesn't mean anything nowadays. What you need to do is you need to build a website, build a great product, and get them to your website. How are you going to do that? And what I see, another mistake in people's mindset is they're not willing to spend some money to get traffic to their website. If you're not willing to spend money to get traffic to your website, good chance you're going to fail unless you're willing to do a lot of work. If you're willing to spend time writing articles like content marketing, making YouTube videos, let's say the Kayak King example, a YouTube video could be comparing 2 kayaks. That doesn't cost any money, but it takes time. So either you're gonna be spending your time or your money. And if you're not willing to do those, you're gonna fail because you're not gonna be able to drive traffic. So know right away, you should be willing to spend money to make money. And if you're not, because you're, whatever, then be willing to spend a lot of time. I'd say that's another mindset issue that a lot of people run into, and I think it's a huge mistake. If you're broke, I get this all the time, I'm broke and I want to start an online store. If you're broke, go get a job. Go make some money somewhere else. It's so much easier. It's literally 1,000 times in the short term easier to make money at a 9-to-5 job than it is in e-commerce. Now, in the long term, if you want to be a millionaire, yes, you'll eventually need to start a website. You don't need to start a website to be a millionaire, but it helps. It's much easier to be a millionaire starting your own business than it is ever to work at McDonald's, right? Don't get me wrong. In short term, you can make more money by trading your time for money, basically trading some work for money. Eventually, sure, you should start a business, but keep that in mind. Like, if you're broke, maybe starting a business isn't for you. It's not going to be quick money. It's going to take money or time to earn that money. So that's another mindset issue I think a lot of people run into. So no matter what you're doing right now, my biggest recommendation is take that next step. If you don't have a domain name yet, you can go buy a domain name. If you haven't signed up for Shopify yet, you can use the link up here or down below. Sign up for Shopify, free 14-day trial. And a little note, if you use my link up here or down below, I do get credit for that. So as a thank you, I'll give you a free 30-minute one-on-one consultation to help you get your store set up. I actually just did one with a girl that had an amazing website, and I love talking to people that have good ideas, that are working hard and hustling, and use my links, and I'm happy to help you out as well. So if you're about to start a store too, you can click up here to get my e-commerce success pack, which includes a checklist for starting your store, marketing ideas, a bunch of other really cool things. Click that to get that up here. Last but not least, subscribe and leave a comment if you have any questions.